Hi, my name is Joanne Carroll, and I'm the Executive Director of Trans Advocacy Pennsylvania. And by telling you I'm part of that organization, you have probably already deduced that I am a transgender woman. Not only that, but part of my identity is also the fact that I am an unapologetic follower of Jesus Christ. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. But nonetheless, what I'm here to do today is kind of give you an overview of what Trans Advocacy Pennsylvania is, and to tell you a little bit about my journey of faith, because both are terribly important to me. I knew from a very early age, from a very young age, that something was different between what people were telling me in terms of my identity. They told me I was a boy, but that didn't match up with anything of how I felt. Now, I didn't have the language to figure that out until much later in life. But nonetheless, I just knew that there was something there and I couldn't put my finger on it. Jump forward a lot of years, and obviously I carried around a lot of baggage dealing with being trans and not being able to express it, wondering how it would look to live authentically, but not knowing how to go about that process. And that's where I think my journey of faith comes in, is because after 50 or so years of yelling at God, because number one, I was carrying this baggage around with me, plus I was molested when I was 13 years old. I couldn't figure out how God could possibly be a loving being if I was having to deal with these kind of things in my life. And so I yelled at him. That is up until a moment when I was driving from Denver, Colorado back to Central Texas after a job search, and I had just recently, 10 or 15 minutes prior, stopped for pick up a bottle of soda and also, go to the bathroom. And somewhere near Amarillo, Texas, on Highway 287, which runs from like northern Montana way down to the Gulf, I found a rest stop and I pulled in. And I sat there for a minute dumbfounded because, like I said, I had just stopped not more than 10 or 15 minutes earlier. And as I sat there, all of a sudden something came over me. And I bowed my head and I said, God, I am so sorry for yelling at you for so long. I said, you're not the problem. You love me because you created me. I said, I'm the one that's the problem. I'm in my own way because I can't accept the fact that this is who I am inside and this is who you love and who you created. And if there's room for me back in the family of faith, I'd love to come back. And that was my journey back to faith. Now, the rest of the story relative to that rest stop is kind of interesting because I had an occasion 5 more times to go up and down that same highway in Texas on Highway 287. And trust me when I tell you this, I searched diligently for that rest stop. And I never found it again. Never. No matter how hard I looked, no matter how many times I stopped and did what I thought were the right places, it did not exist. Now, I know what happened. About a year ago, I was preparing a presentation for a church here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and I was reminding myself of that experience. And as I visioned that rest stop, there was these huge cottonwood trees. I mean, they were immense. Well, I'm sorry, but if you can find a cottonwood tree that goes way up in the air, like 50 to 100 feet, and somewhere on the panhandle of Texas, I'll give you $1,000 because I guarantee you there aren't any. It's scrub oak and mesquite. So that just points out the fact that this was a revelation from God that He loved me and that He wanted me back in the family. Since then, He's given me all sorts of other revelations. He's answered tons of prayers, and so I know that God is an active part of my life. As part of my faith journey, I'm a member of the Penn Central United Church of Christ Open and Affirming ministry team, and with that, our job is to go into churches and help them with their journey in learning how to accept and embrace people that are LGBT. Opening their doors is one thing, but learning how to nurture and disciple them is an entirely different process, and that's the atmosphere we try to create. We do it through discussion, through education. It takes a lot of patience because people's views are sometimes very well entrenched. So it may take us anywhere up to 5 years with any individual church to finally get them to come around to where they will open up their doors in a covenantal process and say, we welcome everybody, no matter where you are on life's journey, no matter who you are, you're welcome here. And so that's that part of it. Trans Advocacy Pennsylvania is the first totally organized transgender advocacy organization in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We're a duly authorized 501c3 nonprofit, federally recognized, which means that we're eligible for donations, and you can claim them for tax purposes. We have to get that plug in. It's a shameless plug, I know. But nonetheless, what does Trans Advocacy Pennsylvania do? First of all, our vision is that we envision a society where all marginalized communities, whether it's people with gender identity or expression issues, with sexual orientation, disability, inability, economic deprivation, melanin shortage, whatever the nature of the marginalization is, we just believe that every single individual has the right to full citizenship underneath the provisions of the Constitution of the United States, that no one has the right to abridge that. To make that vision a reality, we have a mission, and one is to conduct transgender-related information on our own, or to assist agencies that conduct information gathering, surveying the community to try to discover what the experience of the transgender person is. The National Center for Trans Equality out of Washington, D.C. did one in 2015, and you can go to their website and look that up. There's some interesting statistics in there that will tell you what the trans community really has to endure. In addition, we advocate on behalf of transgender and actually other LGBT identified people in the Commonwealth and local and even at the national level. We've been involved in several national programs to try to help our community, because obviously we're a participatory organization with a number of others. One of the things we also do is try to conduct gender education to schools, businesses, healthcare providers, agencies and organizations, state and local governmental agencies, including the Department of Corrections, civic organizations, and of course, as I said, communities of faith. Now, obviously, during the period of COVID-19, that's been kind of handicapped because we can't go out and do anything in person, but we've still managed to do some things. And that it comes to the next part of our mission, which is providing support to LGBT individuals and organizations, including but not limited to insurance issues and care-related challenges, assisting and limiting barriers to various public and private services, and referring individuals to qualified service providers, which takes us to the next step, which is maintaining access links to various resources and whatever for the LGBT community. We've had some success. Probably the one that we point to the most is one of my regional advocates, and there are 6 of them in the 6 different quadrants of or areas of Pennsylvania: northwest, southwest, north central, south central, northeast, and southeast, all trans individuals that are prepared to speak on behalf of the community. Our South Central representative was called in by a Amish girl who was trying to live authentically, and wanted us to help her parents understand what it was she was dealing with and how she wanted to become an authentic person. So our representative went in there, talked to the parents, and of course the parents after that conversation said, there's no reason why this girl cannot live authentically, and not from how we look at things. But you know, it's not just about us, it's our community of Amish people, our church. So you're going to need to come and talk to the church, and you're going to have to get the approval from the bishops in order for this to move forward. Well, our representative went in, met with the bishops, met with the church, went to one of their meetings, and when it was all said and done, the church and the bishop said, there's no reason this girl can't live authentically. It doesn't contradict anything we believe. And so they moved forward with that. And of course, then the girl then began living authentically. Sometime later, two of the families in that church raised some objections, and then none of the objections seemed to matter, and so the bishop said, hey, if you can't accept this, there's no room in this community for you, and shunned them. So, I mean, that's pretty remarkable when you think about the Amish community, but that's the kind of impact that we have with Trans Advocacy of Pennsylvania, interacting on behalf of people trying to make their lives easier, trying to make this insurance coverage process work better. We've done that for a number of individuals. Even although we can't get out and talk to people, we still have the opportunity to help. So we look forward to that, and I hope this has been an opportunity for you to learn a little bit more about me, a little bit more about our organization, and I just want to thank you for your time and wish you all the best. Thanks.